everyone, this is Marika and welcome back to another session of Community Health Nursing with me. In our previous sessions, we have discussed about what is waste, what are the sources of solid waste and also management of solid waste. In this session today, we are going to discuss about disposal of dead bodies. But before we move on to today's topic, let us quickly recall what we have discussed in the last session. So waste, as we know, is any material that has no use intended. If any material is considered as a waste material, it means the material does not have any kind of further use. It includes unwanted material. So waste can be generated by various human activities as well as animal activities. The amount of waste that we generate in a particular place depends on the population of the people in that area. Every human activity, as I said, generates a certain amount of waste. Therefore, management of waste is very important. Waste can exist in three different forms, which includes the solid waste, the liquid waste, and the gaseous waste. Solid waste is majorly produced by human activities. Therefore, we discussed in detail about the sources and causes of solid waste. Under the causes of solid waste, we've seen overpopulation as one of the major cause of production of solid waste. Obviously, when there are a large number of people in a particular area, the amount of waste that is generated will also be much higher. The second cause of solid waste was increased production of the products and decreased consumption. So when production is increased and the consumption is decreased by human beings, left out materials are thrown away. Therefore, it will generate more amount of waste products. And finally, we have advanced technology. Advanced technology is used to manufacture various products, which results in great number of wastage of the product. And we have also discussed about management of solid waste, wherein we have seen the management of solid waste, which includes the collection of the waste. The second one is transportation of the waste, and finally disposal of the waste. The methods of disposal are very important, which includes open dumping, controlled tipping, volume reduction method, and composting. I hope you've got a clear idea about what is waste, how is it produced, and how do we manage solid waste. Let us move on to today's topic. Before we directly go on and understand about the disposal or various methods used for disposal of dead bodies, we need to understand that death is a natural phenomenon. It is an universal phenomenon. Every ritual, every tradition, every culture has different ways of disposing the body after the death of the person. As I said, death is a natural phenomenon. The dead bodies after the death of the person has to be collected and disposed properly. If we think about animals as well, when animals die, the body starts to decompose. Once the body starts to decompose, it starts emitting foul smell. Because of this foul smell, there will be breeding of various insects, mosquitoes, flies, and various pathogenic organisms which can spread the diseases. Similar to what happens to animal body after the death of the animal, in human beings also it is the same process. In human beings as well, once the human being is dead, if it is not collected and disposed properly, if the dead bodies are not maintained properly, then it will result in bad smell or foul smell, and also there will be breeding of various microorganisms which becomes the main cause of spread of various diseases. The foul smell from the dead body also causes air pollution. Dead bodies are to be collected and disposed properly, and it is not just from health's point of view. As I said, every death of an individual is associated with certain rituals and their culture. As all the dead bodies are potentially infectious, there is a need for us to follow a standard precaution after the death of the person in order to avoid various health hazards as well as environmental problems. One very important thing for us to understand is that most of the microorganisms in the dead body is unlikely to cause any kind of infection in healthy individuals. Those microorganisms affects the dead body after the death of the person. Therefore, the microorganisms in the dead bodies is unlikely to cause any kind of infection in healthy individual. But for those people who handle the body very closely, who stay in touch with the body very closely, but some infectious microorganism may transmit to the person who is handling the body. This infectious microorganism may transmit through various bodily fluids and tissue as they stay in very close contact with the dead body. In healthy individuals, the microorganisms that are found in the dead body is unlikely to cause any kind of infection. But even if we as healthy individuals stay in very close contact with the dead body, but certain infectious microorganisms may transmit from the dead body to those kind of people who handle the dead body closely. Therefore, it is very much important, it is inevitable that we need to have a certain precaution to collect as well as to dispose the body or to handle the body. Any kind of microorganisms that are found in the dead body is not transmitted to healthy individual. Even though those microorganisms are unlikely to cause any kind of infection in healthy individual, we need to make sure that proper care is taken while handling the body. There are certain approaches that are to be followed in order to minimize the risk. Let us see what are those approaches that are to be followed while handling the dead body. The very first thing is giving enough staff training. So for those staff who handle the dead body, especially in hospital side, need to have enough training on how they should handle the body, about the various protective equipment that they should use, about how they should hold the body, and also what they should do and what they are not supposed to do. So staff training is very important aspect in order to decrease the risk of transmission of any kind of microorganism from the dead body to healthy individual. The second approach is education. So providing right education, providing correct education about how to handle dead bodies will obviously give the idea to the other person about what they should do and what they should not do, what is expected from them and what they are not supposed to do. Therefore, right education must be provided on handling dead bodies to the staffs. And the last measure is to use safety devices. Various protective equipments that are to be used while handling the dead body must be properly taught to the staff, must be properly taught to the people who closely handles the dead body. Having the right kind of education, having the right kind of training, and also using various protective equipments will help the people to properly handle the dead body and also reduce the risk of transmission of any kind of pathogenic microorganisms. Let us move on and now see the health risk that is associated with dead bodies. According to the World Health Organization, the health risks that are associated with dead bodies majorly categorized into three different categories, which includes the physical health risk, the mental health risk, and the cultural health risk. Let us see in detail one by one what are those. The first one we have is physical health risk. There is a belief that dead bodies are likely to cause some kind of infection in healthy individual, but a dead body is a risk for any kind of communicable disease is a wrong belief. There is a widespread belief that from the dead bodies we actually get various kind of diseases, we acquire various kind of communicable diseases, but that is a wrong belief. As I said in the very beginning, that it is unlikely for any healthy individual to get any kind of pathogenic microorganisms from the dead body. Therefore, the widespread belief that the dead bodies will cause any kind of infection in healthy individual is wrong. The second one is mental health risk. So in mental health risk, as anyone loses their loved ones, they will undergo a psychological trauma of losing the loved ones. Therefore, that is one of the major mental health risk. A person, once they lose their loved ones, undergo certain kind of psychological trauma. Therefore, it is important to collect the dead body as quickly as possible. However, it is not necessary to rush their burial or cremation. If the dead bodies are rushed for burials or cremation, it will not allow the correct record taking of the details, nor it gives time for the people to undergo grief, nor it gives time for the family members to carry out certain rituals and cultural practices that usually occurs after the death of the person. The dead body has to be collected quickly, but the burial or the cremation must not be rushed. If burial cremation is rushed, then it might not give us the proper record, it might not give us the proper detail, as well as it will not give enough time for the family members to carry out certain ceremonies or rituals that occurs after the death. The third one that we have is cultural and religious practices. The people in charge of the dead bodies must give enough time for the family members of the dead person to carry out, to observe ceremonies and the rituals that they do after the death of the person. It is necessary to give enough time for the family members to carry out all the procedures or the ceremonies that usually occurs after the death. It will help people deal with psychological impact of such disaster. I hope you've understood what we have discussed till now. Let us move on and see what are the methods of disposal. There are majorly two methods of disposal of the dead bodies, which includes burial and cremation. Burial is one of the most common method of dead body disposal. Burial is used by various communities in order to dispose their dead bodies, and according to World Health Organization, the burial site or the location of the graveyards must be agreed upon with community. According to the community, the location of the graveyard must be decided. The burial site should be divided in order to accommodate dead bodies from different religious groups. The burial depth must be at least 1.5 meter above the groundwater table and with at least 1 meter of swell covering. For the process of burial, the dead body is usually kept inside a coffin. But if coffin is not available, then the dead bodies must be wrapped properly in the plastic sheet in order to make sure that the remains of the body is separated from the soil. The second method of dead body disposal is cremation. One very important thing for us to understand is that the method of disposal of dead bodies is usually chosen according to what ritual, what ceremony is followed in a particular community. The process of disposal or the method of disposal is chosen. Cremation, to put it in simple words, is to burn the dead body. For the process of cremation, approximately 300 kg of wood is required for a single cremation. The process of cremation produces a lot of smoke and also causes air pollution. Because of this particular reason, according to WHO, the cremation site should be at least 500 meters away from the residential areas. After the cremation, it is obvious that ashes or dust will be produced. The ashes and the dust that is produced after the cremation of the dead body can be disposed according to the cultural and religious beliefs of the people. As I said, every community will have different tradition on disposing the dead body. So the ashes that is left out after the disposal, after the cremation of the dead body, is also disposed according to the cultural and religious practice of a particular community. I hope you've understood the two major methods of dead bodies disposal, which includes burial and cremation. But there are other ways of disposal of dead bodies which are not very common, yet it was followed in the past and it is still followed in some of the communities. There are four other methods of dead body disposal, which includes mummification, burial at the sea, dissolution, and donation for the study. The first one we have is mummification. Mummification is a very common word for us. We know what mummification is. It is one of the method that is followed by Egyptian in earlier times. Mummification was usually done in order to make sure that the dead body does not decay over a period of time. In order to make sure that the dead body stays for a longer period of time, mummification was used, and it started in Egypt and it was used in ancient Egypt. The second one, we have burial at the sea. Now, as the term suggests, burial at the sea is usually done for the people, those who die in ship. It is a ceremony that is done for the people who die in the ship. The body is buried in the sea. The third one is dissolution. In this method, strong solution of lye is used in order to dissolve the dead body and the remains are flushed down the drain. In dissolution, strong solution of lye is used. With the use of lye, the dead body gets dissolved and whatever the remaining parts of the dead body is flushed down. Advocate claims that the process of dissolution is more environment friendly than burial as well as cremation. But on the other hand, many finds the idea of flushing down the drain to be undignified. And finally, we have donation for study. After the death of the person, we've seen that many people donate their organs to various medical studies for research, for study purposes. Donation of the organs for study is also one of the method of disposal of dead body. Donation for study is also one of the method of disposal. Mummification, burial at the sea, donation for study, as well as dissolution are not commonly used, and the commonly used method is burial and cremation. To summarize, today we have discussed about disposal of dead bodies, in which we have seen two major methods of disposal of dead bodies and other four measures of disposal of dead bodies. I hope the class was helpful, and I'll see you all in the next session where we will discuss about forestation and deforestation. Thank you and have a great day ahead.